Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Daily Thread. Nachi Gordon here with my father, and we are back at you with another show. Let's discuss what's going on in the world a little bit. You know, the other day there was a bunch of debates that took place for the governor's race. One that, especially caught headlines was the one that took place in Pennsylvania between John Fetterman and Dr. Oz. John Fetterman being the Democrat,
Right.
Mehmet Oz being the Republican.
That's a race for the Senate, Nachi. Not
my bad.
governor. Okay. No.
That's a race for the Senate.
That's what I'm here. I'm here to correct you.
Yep.
Amongst other things. And you're here to correct me, right?
Sometimes. And it's a very, very close race. But the reason why the media has been all over that race is that John Fetterman, unfortunately, had a stroke just 5 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And many did not think that he'd be able to continue this race, but his team has put him back on there. It's a decision that's being praised by many, and it's a decision that's being criticized by many. And we'll show a video, and you can decide what you think.
To clarify something, you're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, I don't support fracking at all. So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I do support fracking.
And the issue isn't whether or not he was in support of fracking or not in support of fracking. The issue is that he's not able to really get a sentence out coherently, and it's not his fault. You look at many people who had a stroke 5 months ago.
Right.
They're in rehab. They're trying to rehab their injury, but he's on a debate stage in front of thousands of people. What do you think about the situation?
My question about John Fetterman, having watched him for the last few weeks, my question about him is, even before the stroke, how did a guy like that become lieutenant governor of Connecticut, of Pennsylvania, I mean? How did he become lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania? Forget about his politics that I don't agree with, and I don't think you agree with either, supporting Bernie Sanders in the last election, and there's 50,000 people work in the fracking business, in the oil business in Pennsylvania. And then, like you just showed in the video, he comes on in one sentence, says that he's for fracking and against fracking in the same sentence, and doesn't even realize that there's anything wrong with what he said. Why?
Well, I don't really. Again, to me, it's not the issue of the politics, because I think politicians all the time, you could get a video of every single politician that once said one thing and then at a different point said a different thing. I think the issue here in this specific race is not his politics.
In the same sentence, on the same day.
No.
Yeah, Joe Biden says things and then the White House corrects it the next day. But in the same sentence, to say you're for something and against something, that's just stunning.
I think what's obvious here is that he's recovering from a stroke.
Right, and you're right.
And he probably shouldn't.
He should be in rehab, not on a debate stage.
I don't know whose decision it is to throw him out there and say, hey, you know what, just go for it. But it's not fair to him. And you know what? I'm not somebody I'm not particularly fond of Mehmet Oz, of Dr. Oz. I don't think he's super likable. I don't know. I just don't think he's likable.
I don't see why not. He's a popular personality. He was on TV for many years. He's a medical doctor, as you know. I think he said that he's a surgeon. He's accomplished great things. Is he the best candidate they could have found in Pennsylvania? I don't know.
I just don't think he's likable. But that's not. I mean, that's the least of the issues at hand. The main issue at hand is that John Fetterman he had a stroke before the primaries, meaning before he was nominated. Like the people who voted him to go and run against Dr. Oz knew that he had a stroke, and the question really becomes: is he fit to serve office? Now, the way that his team and many Democrats are kind of taking control of this story is that they're saying how commendable it is and how courageous and how amazing it is that someone who had a stroke just 5 months ago has the vulnerability and the resilience to get on that debate stage and ultimately fall flat on his face in a way because he couldn't really get a sentence out. But since when has it become something that's commendable to be recovering from a major medical episode in the public eye? I feel bad for him. I wish him speedy recovery, but he should be recovering. He should not be putting his life at risk in a high stress election race.
Well, so let me say two things about that now. First of all, I don't know what the technical aspect of it is, since maybe he was on the ballot already and there would have been a legal problem removing him from the ballot. Maybe he would have had to stay on the ballot anyway, and they put up an additional candidate. One candidate would have probably, taken votes away from the other candidate, and then they would have handed the election to the Republican. So there may be a legal, technical reason why, why at that point he had to be on the ballot, no matter whether sometimes people have died in a campaign from natural causes, and they have to be on the ballot anyway because at a certain date the ballot's just got to go as is, and it's very difficult to replace somebody. Now, secondarily, and let me try to move this. Everyone's shocked and stunned by that performance that Fetterman presented the other night, but there's something else going on here. We have a president of the United States that's barely functional. He and believe me,
I don't.
No.
I don't know if that's
Yachi. He was being interviewed last week and he fell asleep in the middle of an interview on TV, and he says things constantly that are not true. He talks about legislation that was passed that was never even voted on. And you know what? And things are going pretty good for the Democrats in Washington. So they figure they have a president like that. They could probably work with a senator like that too. They maybe even want someone that's not functional, because then they could run him. That's the way I see it.
It's an interesting take.
Well, I'm here to give you interesting stuff. Otherwise, I could lose my job.
That's true. You got to be very careful about that. We don't want to get you canceled. Speaking of people getting canceled, I know we said that we're not really going to speak about this much further, but it just keeps getting worse for Kanye West. Every single day it gets worse for him. His net worth went from the billionaire status to just $400 million in one day.
Poor baby.
He lost over $2 billion in one day. Yeah. And the recent story that's happening with Kanye West is obviously Adidas dropped him as someone who they collabed with on the famous sneaker Yeezys, which they made over $2 billion on. But a tweet here by Tristan Snell says, after Adidas dropped Kanye West, he showed up today at the LA office of another shoe company, unannounced and uninvited, with a film crew. He was escorted out. Which company did he show up at? He showed up at Skechers. Yes, This really happened. The funny part of that story is that Skechers is owned by and operated by a Jewish family, by Rob Greenberg, the Jewish family. So Kanye West is completely off the rails. I think, to be honest, your take originally on the Kanye West thing is someone that we've getting a lot of feedback. Our inbox is full of emails of people saying that they're questioning your take on what you originally had of Kanye West just being misinformed and he's not going to create any new anti-Semites. Do you think that you're going to still stand by that opinion at this point?
Well, he self-proclaimed one of the smartest. He proclaimed himself as the smartest African-American man in the country and the wealthiest. I don't know if any of that is true. Obviously, his business acumen shows that it's very wanting. I'll get to that in a second, but another.
Are you avoiding it? I think you're avoiding the question.
I'm not avoiding it. I'm trying. We have a lot of time, so I'm trying to fill all the time. So
you're speaking like a politician. I'll get to it in a second.
Well, it's that time of year. But listen, the real question is, why did it take Adidas 2 weeks from the time that he made these anti-Semitic remarks to can him?
I think 1 second. I think we can get to that in a second. I think that first we need to address your original opinion on Kanye West and see if that is still the one that stands.
Let me tell you. Let me make something perfectly clear. I don't know anything about Kanye West, okay? I never heard of Wheezies until about, a week and a half ago. And then...
they're Yeezys, not Wheezies.
Yeezy. I told you I didn't know anything about it. I don't know anything about Yeezys. I don't know what the attraction is to it. I saw a picture of some of the shoes this morning online for the first time. I think they're ugly. I don't know what the attraction to So the whole thing is he a dangerous? Is he an anti-Semite? Is he a dangerous anti-Semite? Yes, he has great influence, and he has to be stopped. And I think that, it's very interesting. This is all happening the week of Pashas Noach, because the world was why did God just created the world? Okay, a lot of years passed, but he decided he has to wash away and destroy most of what he has created. The Pasha says that the world was full of corruption. Kanye West, his brain is corrupted. He's a corrupted person, and he doesn't have to be swept away in a flood of boiling water, or God forbid, lose his life or endanger his life in any way, shape, or form. But he's being cleansed by being stripped of all his money, by most of his money. That's quite a cleansing.
You are one heck of a politician, and I'm just going to keep hammering it home.
I'm not running for anything.
There is another tweet. Dash Dabrowski. New. The Holocaust Museum of LA offered Kanye West a private tour, hoping it would change his views. Kanye turned down their invitation, and he said Planned Parenthood, which an abortion clinic, was his Holocaust museum. Now, the LA Holocaust Museum is being flooded with anti-Semitic messages and threats. I ask you, you had said a few days ago that Kanye West is not going to create any new anti-Semites, but it sure does seem that he is bringing out a lot of new anti-Semites.
You see, I'm not defending them, but I think you're being very liberal with labeling, giving people too much credit to label them in. You have to know something. You have to
do
know
you
history.
stand?
Yeah.
Do you stand?
No, don't ask questions like that. You have to understand
why.
You have to know something. In order to be an anti-Semite, you have to know a little history. You can't just wake up.
I don't think so.
And say,
I don't think so. That's
like
not true.
Anti-Semite today.
That is not true.
I saw
that is not true.
Where did I see? I saw Kanye West in an interview yesterday where he said he can't be anti-Semitic. He said because he's a Jew. He said he's a Jew.
I disagree with you. I disagree. I don't think that.
I disagree with him too. I don't think he's Jewish, but he thinks.
I know, but I disagree with him. But I disagree with you right now, because you're saying that you need to be educated on the entire history of the Jewish people in order to be anti-Semite, and that's the case. And nobody's an anti-Semite, because there's very few people that have a full grasp of the history of the Jewish people and then show hatred for the Jewish people. So there's no anti-Semites in the world, and all these hate crimes are not charged by anti-Semitism. They're just people doing crazy things. Come on, I think that's a cop out. I don't think that's the right way to think of things. Listen, and I think that's a danger to not label these people as anti-Semites.
Rashi says somewhere that quotes from Shimon Bar Yochai, I think it is. He says it's a halacha Esav Sona Liakov. Non-Jews hate Jews. That's part of the DNA of the world. That's just the way it is.
I don't know.
And you're right. You're right about one thing. Inviting him to the Holocaust Museum in LA is not changing anything. And that it's it's like I like to use an example of, you go to Niagara Falls and you want to see, how can I make the falls flow up instead of down? It can't flow up. It flows down. It's too forceful. And unfortunately, it's the same thing with anti-Semitism. It's too forceful. You can't reverse course by inviting someone to take a tour of a Holocaust museum, that they don't have the mental faculties or the cerebral power to absorb the message and change anything. So I agree with you.
Okay. You agree? Okay. You really did a nice little circle around that. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Why do you want to maneuver me into agreeing with anti-Semites?
I'm not maneuvering you to agree with anti-Semites. What I want to do is
don't give up.
I am here working for the people, and I have an inbox full of emails in front of me that are questioning the opinion that you had, that Kanye West is not going to create any new anti-Semites. He doesn't know. He's not an anti-Semite. He's not smart enough to be an anti-Semite. And I'm asking you, given to the amount of times that he has doubled down and he's gone on many podcasts and he's saying the crazy things that he's saying and doing the things that he's doing, I'm asking you if you still hold the same opinion that you held a few days ago.
That's the key word. You answer your own question. The key word is crazy. He's crazy.
Oh, my gosh.
That's the key word. That's the key word. He's crazy.
So there's no crazy anti-Semites. I think every anti-Semite is crazy.
Nachi, if you walk, let's say you're
anybody who hates somebody because of their race or their religion is crazy.
let's say it could be. Let's say you go into a mental mental hospital, okay, with people that are mentally and emotionally disturbed, and one of them hits you or spits at you. Are you going to fight him back? You're going to beat up this person? You're not going to beat them up. They're there because
So now,
they're there
so now
because
you're
they have
calling
serious
Kanye.
problems.
So
Yeah,
now you're calling him mentally disturbed.
you said he's crazy. What is crazy? Crazy is a mental disturbance. Crazy is not just a word people throw around about. You're right. Everybody says about almost everybody else that they're crazy. He did something crazy. He looked crazy. He's acting crazy. It's the word has been completely diluted of it and stripped of its meaning. But this guy is nuts. Nuts has also been overused. So it's hard to find the proper characterization for the guy. But the guy's not playing with a full deck. That's been used a lot too. But it's hard to find the exact appropriate. But we're on the same side.
What?
I want you to know.
I think we're on the same side, and the side is very large. I think we're on opposite sides of the side. You're North Pole, I'm South Pole.
You want me to be on the other side, but I'm not. But I'm just.
No, I don't want you to be on the other side. God forbid. I want you, Abba. You had stated your opinion a few days ago. At the time, I disagreed with it, and I still disagree with it. I think you didn't take it seriously. I think you shoot it. And at the end of the day, you know what? Someone mentioned me this morning when I was walking to the office. Kanye West had 60,000 people vote for him for president when he ran in 2020.
Number one,
he has too many people following him in order to say the things that he's saying.
We're spending too much time on this, the only thing I question, I'm looking at a much bigger picture than you are. I'm saying that if he has 18 million people, half of which are probably fake. So let's say he has 9 million people following him. Let's say he has 9. The robots. You have to click when you join an app or something. You have to click that you're not a robot, and it's very simple to say, "I am not a robot." So let's say that half of them are robots. Let's say, or whatever they call them, bots or whatever.
Well, it was just when Elon Musk made the bid for Twitter, it wasn't half. It was what, 10%, 5%?
It was high. But let's say he has 10 million followers. What is the quality of these people that are following a nut to begin with?
It does not matter. It does not matter. It does not matter. You know why? You know why it doesn't matter? You know why it doesn't matter? Because Darrell Brooks is crazy. And the people who did the shootings in Uvalde is crazy. And every single, it doesn't matter. They're having an effect in society. And if you have somebody that is going to spread such hate and use their platform to spread such hate, they're causing chaos for us.
What would you like to see done with him?
What is being done is what I like to see done. He's being deplatformed. I'm generally not a fan of canceling, but he's totally being canceled. And I think you could just say rest in peace, Kanye West. I think we're going to see the last of him in the next couple of weeks. Moving on, Elon Musk looks like he's finally getting the deal done with Twitter. Elon Musk walked into Twitter headquarters the other day holding a sink. Right. And I think he sort of to tell people to let this sink in.
Right.
Elon Musk is quite the character.
He's a funny guy.
But what does this mean? What does this mean for one of the biggest social media platforms in the world?
Well, it's the biggest nightmare for the Democratic Party in the United States because they've been able to get away with what they've been getting away with for the last 2 years because they've been suppressing information with the help of big tech, especially including Twitter. Can you imagine when President Trump was still president of the United States, Twitter, which is the forum where most people in the world can communicate, where you have the Ayatollahs in Iran and the terrorists in Hamas in Gaza are on Twitter. They weren't banned from Twitter, but Donald Trump was banned from Twitter. What Elon Musk wants to do is just bring back freedom of speech, which is our First Amendment, which is and it's number one amendment because it is the most important thing that Americans have.
Can you say one nice thing about the Democratic Party?
Could I say one nice thing about the Democratic Party as a whole? The way it's run today, I have to think about it for a day or two. I'll say there's some Democrats that are being swept along with the rest of the party. But you're going to see, if you don't understand what tshuva is, or if you haven't seen it with your own eyes, wait till after November 8th, and if the Republicans are definitely going to win the House of Representatives, and hopefully they'll win the majority in the Senate. And when that happens, you're going to see a whole slew of Democrats changing their opinions and their ways and the things they say. You're going to see tshuva like you never saw it before.
We'll see about that. Another story that has come across our desk over here is the concerning story out of Russia that one of an executive official, part of the Russian government, called Chabad a cult and labeled them as a terrorist organization. Rivera Lazar issued a scathing response to that, calling for accountability for those comments. But I think that's like the first time that a government called Chabad a cult and like a terrorist organization.
The success of Chabad the last 25 years in that area of the world is essentially the personal relationship between Rabbi Lazar and a few other shluchim, of course, and Vladimir Putin. What's Putin's motivation? He got older. People say that he might be ill, and he wants to reclaim the Russian Empire before his days are over. That's why we have a situation that we have. Now, if a guy, a middle-level operative, like this guy, whatever his name was, I think his name was Pavlov or something, when he says that Chabad is like a cult, first of all, he was talking about the desatanization of the Ukraine, okay? Russia is claiming they're trying to clean Ukraine of anti-Semitism, of Nazism. So as long as he was naming groups, he also named Chabad. I hate to say this, but I don't think he knew what he was talking about. A lot of people in the world draw conclusions based on the smallest, most minimal amount of information. People have no time to study anything. They have no time for research. They want to get to the conclusion and say what it is, even though they know nothing about it. And that's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all over. It's in everyone. It's in everyday life.
It's been a heavy episode today so far, but on a lighter topic, there's a report that the future iPhones, the future Apple products, are all going to be using C chargers, which people have been begging for. C chargers are chargers that are used for Macs and for Androids. It's a charger that's sort of like universally accepted on many devices, and iPhones have been using this charger that is just used for iPhones for many years, and now they are supposedly in the future going to be using C chargers. So I think that's light. That's pretty light.
Okay, now what about the length of time of the charge? I have a 12. I have a 14
come on. A Gvir like you should have an iPhone 14.
I'm not a Gvir. I'm sitting here doing this with you. So what kind of Gvir am I? I don't own the Milwaukee Bucks or the Detroit Pistons, but I have a 14 that I think was delivered waiting for me at home. But I have an iPad too that has a different charger than my iPhone.
It's a good business model. You got people got to buy new chargers.
If I'm trying to charge my phone with the thing I have plugged into the wall from my iPad, it doesn't go. When I got here, I had to start figuring out. I rented a car. I have to figure out how am I going to charge the phone in the car. I got to have. Oh, and then you have what's it called? UBS. The
USB.
I'm sorry. UBS is a investment.
An arena. UBS arena.
Yeah. The USB comes in different sizes too. You have to make sure you get a card that fits a USB size. So it's very
it's also something I noticed. Something I noticed before we started is that you kept calling your AirPods iPods. And it's something that I think the older generation, I have people come over to me when they want to compliment me on the Meaningful People podcast, and they say to me, "Oh, I love your iPod." They think iPod is everything. Like iPod is like the universal term for AirPods, for a podcast. Oh, I love your iPod. And I just nod and I say, "Yes, thank you so much." What's with the word iPod for you guys?
First of all, I don't think you're right. I think I said AirPods.
You said iPod. No, you did not. So. You said You said iPods. Should we roll a tape?
No, not you can roll the tape. But if I misspoke, I misspoke. But I know it's AirPods. But I want you to know, as you know, I'm publishing the Five-Town Jewish Times for 23 years now. I would say the last 5 years or so, the first 5 years, people said to me, "Oh, I read your article every week in the Jewish press."
Really?
It is what people have their own problems and they're distracted and they have
Yeah,
their own things they're focused on. They can't focus on whether they're listening to you on their AirPods or their iPods, or if there is such
I
a
hear
thing.
you. To wrap up this episode, let's go ahead and dive into the email box of the daily
Yes.
thread at meaningfulminute.org. And we have a topic suggestion here. Now,
Okay.
I just glanced at this email, and we have a few of them here, but we're going to do one today. And I'm going to just warn you to tread lightly on this topic, okay? The email goes as follows. Hi, thank you for the wonderful work that you do for Klal Yisrael. I live in Lakewood.
Okay.
I'm married to a learning boy in BMG.
Okay.
Recently, I attended a gathering for Neshei Adirei Torah in Lakewood.
Okay.
They presented a beautiful music video, which was recently posted on Baruch Levine's Instagram and received a lot of negative comments. I, Baruch Shem, really enjoy my lifestyle and I feel valued. I'm appreciated and wonderful about my position in the woman breadwinner mommy of the household. Would love to hear your take on the video and the backlash it received. So I'm not super, I briefly heard about this. Basically, this Neshei Adirei Torah is for the wives of people in chinuch and learning world, and they made a beautiful event
What do they
where
do?
well over 10,000 women came, and they were just honoring them, singing and giving them chizuk for the lifestyle that they lead of
Okay.
sacrificing for Torah. They made a music video by Baruch Levine, and I think it got over 900 comments on Instagram. And I didn't see the comments. If you go to the post now, the video is still up, but the comments are all deleted. But it got 900 negative comments, or 900 comments criticizing the fact that this is for women, but there's like the only women that are in the music video are the ones like in the kitchen cooking. And I think, like, I honestly didn't even watch the whole video. Now, this is a very, very sensitive topic. I think there's good people on both sides, and I can totally hear why people feel the way they feel. My personal opinion is, it's never a good thing to take to Instagram to air your grievances about anything. Like, if you have, like, why comment negatively on a post by Baruch Levine? I understand you cannot agree with something, but that's not going to accomplish anything, right? Like, let's be real. Nobody ever impacted change by commenting from an anonymous Instagram account on a post. But that's something that someone sent in. They wanted us to talk about it. That's sort of my opinion.
Well, I think not to go into a long dissertation on this. I think there's a conflict in Jewish life between tradition and stereotyping. Okay, so these women could be playing, or they could want to have dreamed about during their young life to run a traditional life like their parents did and their grandparents did. And the flip side of that is people are stereotyping them. Only the women in the video are in the kitchen. Only a man was
Yeah.
see. It was So that's the conflict. That's what you have to reconcile. There should be a meeting place somewhere in the middle. You should be able to not be apologized for, be embarrassed about leading a traditional lifestyle, and worry about that you're being stereotyped or denigrated in some way for doing that.
900 comments, though, is a lot of comments.
A lot of people with nothing to do, I guess. I didn't comment on it.
Yeah, but those people would say, we're really upset. It's really disrespectful. But again, like, my opinion is, and I think, again, I hear both sides. My opinion just is you don't really accomplish anything by posting negative comments on Instagram. If you want to actually impact change, make a meeting with the people that you think can impact change. Like, go to the top. I don't know.
If you really want to impact change, now you have to vote on November
8th. November 8th. That's the election day.
That's the election day. Don't vote on. You could vote.
It's funny.
You could do early voting. You can vote today if you want in New York. Anyway, I think down here in Florida.
Yesterday we got a phone call. Shauna got a phone call from someone doing polling, and they were asking about Kathy Hochul and Lee Zeldin and who you're more likely to vote for. And it was probably a 7 to 10 minute seven to 10 minute survey asking questions. And for a second, I'm like, you know what, let's take the Israeli route and just lie to them so we can mess with the polls. But then I'm like, you know what, let's just be honest. And we gave them the answers. We gave them the answers to the questions that we're obviously voting for Kathy Hochul and for Joe Pinion. I'm kidding with you. Don't. I'm not saying who I'm
you're
voting for.
You're voting for Lee Zeldin and Joe
Whoa, am I
Kanye.
being? Is my vote? Are you taking control of my vote?
No,
My vote is what? My vote is my right.
I'm encouraging you to do whatever you want. If I know you, you're probably not going to end up not voting.
Wow.
Wow. Next Wednesday, you're going to say, yesterday was election day?
Well, I thought November 4th was election day. I don't know why.
So listen, worst comes to worst, you go there
I think they need to do a
4th.
better job.
You go there November 4th, which I think is Friday, and you just beat her over.
I'll end up in some history class in public school if I go on November 4th.
That's right. You'll be in the middle school, wherever the voting is.
Yeah. Anyways, that's our show for today. We hope you enjoyed. As always, you can send us an email at thedailythread@meaningfulment.org. If there's any stories or any topics you want us to be talking about, or you have general feedback, and you could always just email us. If you think that my father's opinion is wrong on anything, you could just email us at the dailythread@meaningfulminute.org. And if you think that my opinion is wrong on anything, then please email us as well. We'll take a tally.
If you're right, if you think we're right, you could also email. Okay. And,
yeah, that's also nice.
And you could share the emails with me. So I haven't seen any emails. I got a couple of comments here and there. A guy asked me for the Kanye West for the full episode. That is the full episode. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, no problem.
Nothing
Have a
bad.
great day. We'll back on Monday.
All right.
Have a good Shabbos.
See y'all.